Hi, good students. Today we're going to go over how to brainstorm and feel confident in your own ideas. So go ahead, please take your sketchbooks out if they're not already, and you're going to follow along. Take any of the notes that I'm writing, you're going to put them into your own sketchbook so that you can refer back to them. As a couple of just like announcements before we get into like the lesson, just know that brainstorming is hard, you know? Coming up with ideas is hard, and when something's difficult, the only way to get better at it is to just work through it. It's like a sport, playing an instrument, learning a language, anything like that, you know, the only way to get better is just to keep practicing at it. Another thing to note too is that some people are like naturally really creative. If you're one of those people, that's great. You probably have a lot of ideas and you feel very motivated to make art most of the time. If you are not, that's okay as well. Creativity is a skill, and a skill can be learned. And so you're gonna have to work a little bit more at this part of the artwork, right? At this part of the stage of just like, you know, believing in your idea and not shooting yourself down and just kind of working through it, like that first note that we made. And the last thing I want to just say as like a quick announcement is that with the rise of AI and ChatGPT and all these like great online resources that we have, AI is a tool, and there's definitely a place and a time to use the tool. But especially for the ideation stage, you guys should not use AI to help you with prompts or ideas for the theme. And so I just want to say as your teacher that an idea generated from a machine is not better than your own experiences, and that you are more creative than AI. So just remember that going forward. Okay, to get on with the lesson, just, you know, write those down. The next thing we're going to talk about are active ways to brainstorm, passive ways to brainstorm, and then, you know, like ways that we have inspiration. So the first thing we're going to do is if you have no ideas at all, this is how you would actively brainstorm. The first one is journaling. Sometimes in class, we will give you guys packets to fill out answers that we came up with, or questions that we came up with for you guys to answer. That's an active journaling, a version that we're doing. We're just prompting you with the questions. Journaling is just really connecting with like your own thoughts and feelings about whatever the subject matter you're trying to make artwork about. I write a lot in my sketchbooks. I have my sketchbooks over to the left here. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. I write a lot in my sketchbooks because I'm trying to just think about how I feel towards a certain subject, and then once I figure out how I feel, it'll help inform me with my idea that I want to create. So this is a really good one to do. It's a little bit more mature, so just, you know, give it a try, and it may not always be that serious of an artwork you're making also. The second one's a mind map. We do this one a lot at Suchi's. This would be like you come up with like the theme, and then each little bubble that you draw directly relates to the theme. So like, you know, you could write the people in your life. You could write, you know, maybe like an activity. So if you're doing an artwork of like a self-portrait, right? Maybe you would say, okay, well, I do this activity and I have these people in my life, and like my favorite color is this, right? You would come up with like things that relate directly to the theme the entire time. Maybe like a place you identify with. Or if you're doing, you know, an artwork about like a landscape, maybe you're going to pick a landscape based off like a memory that you have, something like that. The third one is called word association. And that is a little bit more abstract of an idea. I like this one a lot when you're stuck. This one's really good if you have a artist block, or if you're like in like a self loop a self-doubt loop of you're like, nothing I'm coming up with is good, everything is bad. Like, this is a good way to break out of that. So let's just give ourselves a theme. Let's say I'm making a self-portrait again. Right, so that's like my theme I have to do. And I'm just going to think of the next word that pops into my head. So I'm going to say mirror. After mirror, I think of shiny. Shiny, I think of diamond. And sparkle. And you guys can write down your own versions of these words. After sparkle, maybe I think of snowflake. And maybe I'll think of cold. So now I have these 6 words. You can go as long as you want. That it's my job now. This is where the creative part comes in, is that it takes work to connect snowflake or sparkle back to a self-portrait. So maybe I would do a self-portrait of me with like a bunch of snowflakes in my hair. If I were to have just been like, I need to do a self-portrait, let me take a selfie, like I probably wouldn't have come up with that idea. So this is a really good way to kind of get you out of like a loop that you're in. 4th way to do it is like, if you have 2 ideas, you're going to combine them into one. This is a cool one because it makes kind of like the contrast of these 2 like stronger. So if I think of like my theme and I'm picking a place, and if I'm going to do a snowflake, maybe I could do myself with the snowflakes in my hair, but I put myself somewhere else, not in the snow. So that'd be like a stronger idea. So I'm taking like these 2 thoughts I have, or maybe I'm going to take a journaling idea and combine it with the snowflake idea, or whatever the case is. And the last one is going to be your sketchbook. So a sketchbook is like a place that you check in with your inner artist, that you're kind of having this like self-practice, that you're thinking about how to draw, how you want to draw, what are like the things that you like to draw, things that are around you. It's like it's supposed to be like the least pressure is the sketchbook. I know it doesn't feel that way. I brought my sketchbook here, and I have a couple of examples to show you as well. So I'll pull one out right now. So this is a sketchbook from 5 years ago. So I have a lot of my own notes in here, along with some of like my portraits that I like to draw. So I think it's important. This is like a study of like a statue. That's my friend. This is just a girl I found online that I liked. This one I like the pencil marks of, so I could look back at my sketchbook and, or maybe as I'm drawing in my sketchbook, I would say, oh, I really like how I drew the lines on this. Now in my final work, I'm going to try to do this again. So a sketchbook is a really important place for you to kind of like really look at what you've already done, and like the answers are there for you. If you have a hard time keeping a sketchbook, just know it'll also get easier with practice. It's hard, okay? It's hard to keep a sketchbook. It's hard to have a brainstorming idea. And just the more you do it, the better it'll get. So these are the active ways to brainstorm. This is if you already have a prompt or you already have an idea, kind of. After that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make notes on how to passively brainstorm and like think about inspiration. So to passively brainstorm, the first one I'm gonna consider is other art forms. Or you can write down artists. So this would be like, if you like music, if you like instruments, dance, photography, nature, movies, other painters, if you like fashion, if you like architecture, you like traveling, anything that's like a little more artsy, this is like where it would go underneath. And so I think this is a really strong one. So a good example is that Suchi really likes flowers and she likes her garden, and so then therefore she paints a lot of flowers in her artwork. So she's looking at the other art form of nature, and it's inspiring her in her other art, in her fine art, I should say. Second one is going to be tuning in. I'll write down some examples here. So I'll say fashion, music, nature, etc. Whatever you want to write over there. Second one is tune in. So tuning into what you think that would be fun to draw. This is kind of like with the sketchbook idea as well. It's like when I'm drawing my sketchbook, when I keep a sketchbook, it doesn't have a theme, it doesn't have any pressure. I'm just drawing what I like. And so tuning in is just like kind of paying attention to what's around you, whether it's like drawing your cat or your dog, you're drawing your flowers in your garden, you're just kind of trying to observe what's already there. Number 3 is about myself / personality. This one's pretty good for the PTA reflection one. We can't always use this one for all the projects that we do. But think about like, you know, what are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are instruments you play? Where is like a place you love to go? Are you loud? Are you reserved? Are you nervous? Like you can really think about any type of like emotion or feeling or any type of like interest you have, right? And you can how to put that into an artwork. So that would be interests / you know, emotions for that one. Number 4 is going to be lean in. This is what I call it, at least. Lean in. So if you love green, I love green, so I'm gonna use this one as an example. I love green, it's my favorite color. So when I've done paintings in the past, I'll pick one green to like really zoom in on, and like that's the green I'm gonna do. And so it's just like kind of whatever you already like is good enough to do an artwork about. And so you have to pick the thing that you like and just push it a little bit more. Oh, I'll say what I already. What I already like is good enough to draw. Okay, that one I really like. That one's fun for me at least. Number 5 is talking about following the hyperfixation. It's similar to leaning in, except hyperfixation's kind of more like a body of work you're thinking about. So I couldn't necessarily do like a whole body of work just about green. It would have to have like some other theme besides just green. But hyperfixation I think is a good one. Because like, you know, if you're really obsessed with this one genre, like I know some students that will get like really into drawing shoes or drawing self-portraits or drawing their friends, or, you know, they have like a certain animal that they always go back to or a character they're always drawing. That one's good too because it's like it's gonna show more harmony in your artwork, which is good, and more consistency. It kind of shows a little bit more of like style, quote unquote, as well. Makes it look more cohesive. And then you get to explore this idea a lot more as well, because if you just do one painting of it, it's not necessarily going to teach you as much as if you do 20 paintings of it. Number 6 is your past artwork. And I have some examples of that as well with me. So, you know, if once you have enough of a catalog to look back at, you can really kind of critique your own artwork and say like, well, I like this, and here's why. Or, oh, I really liked how I painted this, so let me try to do it again. And so looking at your own past artwork is like really good information for yourself to kind of know what you're interested in and like know how you've kind of changed too. So I have 2 self-portraits here with me. One of them I did in college, and then the other one I did about 2 years ago. The first one is a lot looser of a style, and they're almost, well, they're both kind of greenish. So this was a self-portrait I did in college. It's a lot looser of a style. not really a background, a very cohesive color scheme. It's this blue-green color, right? And then the next one I have is one I did, I think 2 years ago. Here, where it's got that, I didn't try to, but it kind of has like a greenish brown in the back. And you can see like between the two of them, the styles are, not that they're the same, but you can see similarities between them, that like it has kind of like this more brushy feel. It has a very like tight color scheme, that this is more cool green, this is more like warm browns. And I can say like, okay, well, I like this background more, or I like this background more, I like these colors, whatever, right? You can kind of compare and contrast what you've done in the past. Same thing with, I have this really tight color scheme as well. I do a lot of like, I've done enough artwork now that I can like see what I'm interested in. So I always pick a really closed off color scheme. So this one is this like really kind of chartreuse color, and this is just like brown and black. So this one's a lot more brushier, you can tell from the brush marks, and this one is still brushy but a lot more finished looking. So you can look back at your artwork, you can look back at your sketchbooks, and you can kind of pull from your own inspiration. Okay, last one is called the snowball effect. This one I think of like, the more you attempt and the more you try and the more you're sketching and doing artwork and thinking of things and looking at artists and looking at music, like it's just gonna build, and you're gonna get better and better and better at brainstorming because you're paying attention, because you're looking at other art, because you're, you know, journaling more, thinking about how you feel, that you're looking at your past artwork, and this is gonna just like all build to make sure that you have ideas as you do more projects. So I wrote building confidence and belief in myself. Okay, last one we're gonna do is called pure inspiration. Oops. Sorry. Pure inspiration. This little last category is like when you kind of already have done all the work I talked about. This last category will happen once you really trust yourself as an artist. So the first one, we think about it as a sunrise. So that's like when you have this idea and you kind of know what you want to draw, but you're not really sure how to do it, and you have to refine it more. So you already have an idea, and you're going to look towards the other brainstorming ones, right? Either the passive brainstorming or the active brainstorming, and you're going to complete the idea through that. Second one is called lightning strike. This is just like pure, most like intense boom you get hit with this idea, and the painting or the drawing or whatever you're creating just comes to you fully finished, right? This is the least common, unfortunately, at least for myself. I can't, talk for everybody. It's the least common because usually it's a lot harder to like sift through your ideas and make it really work. I've been doing art now for 10 years, and out of my 10 years, this has happened 3 times for me, where an artwork just comes to me and I know exactly what it's going to look like, and I execute it very smoothly. 3 times, okay? It can happen, and the more you do this other stuff, the more lightning strikes you'll get, like the closer together that they'll be. And this is also like the most stereotyped version, I think, too. And then the last one is going to be to just to trust yourself. That's going to be a big theme we're going to talk about. A lot of times artists will kind of, they'll think of an idea and then they'll be like, well, I shouldn't do it. It's kind of bad. And like they'll talk themselves out of it before they even have a chance to brainstorm or thumbnail or do anything with it. So just remember that, you are smart and you are creative. You have your own experiences you bring to your artwork through your own personal lens, and that you know, the more you trust yourself and the more you explore your ideas, the easier it will be to come up with artwork. All right, so thank you guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Make sure you write down all these notes. We didn't do that much drawing today. It was more about just kind of getting the lesson. And happy brainstorming.